you very much. The travel to this place took early. We actually had to leave earlier for Sir Jerome, who had to leave at 3:45 to be able to fetch me in Quezon City at 6:30 and fetch my friend here in UST at 7 a.m. It was not easy, but the thought of being here with you personally and taking a look at the products, varied products that you have here in Laguna is something that cannot be done using the virtual mode. So, magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. I wish to congratulate the movers and shakers of the First Regional Edutourism Conference, especially the men and women who put everything together to make sure that this is a success. The first day is just one of many steps you'll be taking in the rest of the week. It's a 3-day celebration, and I'm very happy to be part of this event. The forum is about understanding the present, revitalizing the tourism industry academe partnership. From practicing to practitioners, quality graduates for quality tourism. And my talk is about the journey of practice makes perfect for now. Why? Because it's an ever-changing world. I was listening to Ms. Vanji's talk and I said, whatever you have right now will not be the same environment you will have 4 or 2 or 1 year from now. The world will change dramatically. We were also, over lunch, we were talking about new titles, new positions. One position is the Director of Happiness. Can you imagine? During my time when I graduated in 1981, but Ms. Vanji actually graduated earlier than me. The Director of Happiness was not in the roster of jobs that a tourism and hospitality student would have. But right now, this is something that can be a reality for some of you. And so, practice makes perfect, meaning to say, we do not just simply stop where we are, because it is going to evolve as the world changes. Practice the philosophy of continuous improvement. Get a little bit better every single day. So if you're doing your bed making right now at 20 minutes per bed, practice makes perfect. Maybe tomorrow it will be 15 minutes, or you've shaved off 30 seconds. What does 30 seconds mean for you? It can be a ton of savings, ultimately for the big industry. I was looking at the profile of many students, and with a former student of Ms. Vanji, where people should not just have a mindset of being employed. You can have a mindset also of creating an opportunity to employ people, becoming an entrepreneur, simply because the world has changed. Data from the DTI, Department of Trade and Industry, indicates that 99.9% of the businesses that are enrolled with them are actually micro, small, medium enterprises. What does that mean? It means that everybody has a fair share of creating their business opportunity. And this business opportunity will be something related most probably to a product, to a need that you have seen in your particular field. And this will now allow you to employ more people in your business. My talking points for this short lecture would involve what is practice? Why are we going to even practice? What is the role of continuous improvement? Why collaborations are important? The school, in its very small space, may not be able to have all the answers. And so there is need for you to collaborate beyond the school that you have and moving forward step. What do we have to do to make sure that we are able to cook the perfect sinigang that was mentioned by Ms. Vanji earlier on? Practice. Why practice? You know, the 5 W's and 1 H is something that's important. Why? Let's take a look. Who should practice? This is practice for everyone, for anyone. I've lost touch with an amount of practice I've done. In fact, you know, learning continues at the age of 64. I am still practicing my use of what? Excel? Some of the new features of Zoom. Every day should be a learning experience, and so practice. You might think that you are perfect now, but tomorrow there might be a new version that's going to be created. When? When should you practice? Practice like there is no tomorrow. Every day should be a practice session. You might get it perfectly now, but tomorrow there would be new variables that were not part of the environment. And so you've got to make sure that you keep on practicing your skill. Where? Anywhere you are actually going to be doing it. We were sharing, you know, earlier, Sir Jerome was asking, Mom, how are you going to share your presentation? I said I was going to share my presentation via a link, which I just sent to him. Miss Vanji brought out a USB and copied the file from her laptop and then gave it to Sir Jerome. Learning from my mistakes before, when the USB can be infected by many virus, I said, I'm going to use now links. How do I do that? Save your files in a cloud storage. And so I was teaching Miss Vanji, just do this. You can save it in your Google Drive. You can save it in your OneDrive. All you have to do is copy the link and send it to everyone, which I will be doing later on. I'll be sharing my presentation later on. What? Competencies are not just made of cognitive knowledge. There are 3 components to competencies. Knowledge. Why? What are the thoughts that go, the foundation that you have there? Skills. These are the elements that will bring to life this particular knowledge. And attitude. I always say, you know, when I see a chef or a student who is wearing his chef's uniform out in the streets, I will always reflect and say, the teacher did not fully translate the KSAs for wearing the uniform. Why? The knowledge is wearing the chef's uniform. What are the parts? It's double-breasted, it's white. Do you even know why it's double-breasted? Anyone who wants to share that information? It's double-breasted because if a chef, while working in the kitchen, you have some drippings or whatever in your chef's uniform, and for one reason or another, you have to go out into a customer area, all you have to do is open and close using the other side, and voila, you already have a fresh-looking uniform. What do I see now? I see a lot of students or even chefs not even bothering with the double-breasted chef's uniform. Why? Maybe they're trying to scrimp on the material. They're even trying to make the chef's uniform hug their body. But the chef's uniform should not hug the body simply because you need to aerate the chef's uniform because in the kitchen, it is very hot. Second, what is the skill? What is the skill needed? So you know what the chef's uniform is, the black and white pants that you have to wear. You even have the toque. Oh, I see a lot of students, wearing their toque, not mindful of what it means. Do you know that each fold in the chef's uniform means that you are able to prepare an egg dish? Egg lang po ang katapat ng bawat fold. So the more folds that you have in your chef's uniform, in your toque, means that you are higher in rank because if it has more folds, that means to say you are more experienced as compared to the other chef. So looking at S, the skill, how do you wear your chef's uniform? I've seen some where they don't even bother buttoning their chef's uniform, not even wearing the proper hair restraint. Bakit ako mag-hair restraint? Ma'am, bagong rebond yung hair ko. But what is the reason why you wear a hair restraint? It's because of contaminants that you may have there. What is the attitude that is needed? You've got to make sure that you wear it very prim and proper, meaning to say it's white, it's clean. But I've seen some students who don't even bother to iron their chef's uniform. There are always 3 things that go with any skill or any competency that you have. So KSAs are very important. Why? Because you move from a station or a phase of good to better and ultimately to the best. But before you know it, somebody else is doing something better than what your best is. And so you have to start with the cycle again. Go from good, better, and best. How? You make a plan of how you're going to do it. You've got to make sure that you focus. What are you going to be doing at the end of your first year, second year, third year, and fourth year? Do I go out and apply to a multitude of enterprises, or do I open my own business? And so, the 5 W's and 1 H is something that is constantly evolving as you practice becoming a professional. The learning pyramid is for a student, and I want to use the student loosely. This is not the student who is enrolled in your school, but a student who is a member or who is a student of the University of Life. For those who still remembered a University of Life several decades ago, the University of Life is an informal school. Every day is a learning process. And so you've got to make sure that you remember what are the key points in learning. When somebody does a lecture, there is not as much retention in the learning that you have. However, if there is some kind of multi-sensory investment on the part of the student, it increases from 10%, 20% if there is audio-visual. And I'm very happy right now that you can readily download all of this audio-visual through Facebook, through YouTube, etc. It makes the instruction very interesting because there is now more than just the teacher. You have the experience of other people as well. Then you go to demonstration. You actually have to show the teacher how to do this. You have a discussion. What are the strengths, the OFIs that you have? Then you do a practice session, and before you know it, you are already teaching somebody. At this point, learning is already 95%. But that is why there is continuous improvement, because we have to make sure that there is always improvement in the way that we do, because it will mean that at one time you will be teaching others, but a chef, a teacher does not stop, because he will have to again be a student of the University of Life and start with attending lectures. Then that's why there is continuous education programs that are happening right now. So continuous improvement. When I talk about continuous improvement, this is my PQA hat I'm wearing. You have the plan, do, check, and act. There are 2 versions. You actually Google and find out that there is a schematic diagram that will show as one line versus a circular representation of PDCA. I always look at PDCA as part of a continuous cycle, and so I prefer the schematic diagram where it is a cycle. When there is any plan, there is always a do, a check, an act, and another cycle of things that will happen. What are the plans that we have come across? You have maybe a strategic plan, an operations plan, a human resources development plan, a curriculum plan, a marketing plan, a networking and linkages plan or program. You also have a quality assurance plan. But the thing is, the plans are not supposed to be kept in storage. They are supposed to be living testimonies of what we are going to be doing. And so what we do is we create checklists of what these plans are supposed to do. You have a program, you have a task, you have an activity, you have a strategy, etc. You do your check by monitoring and evaluating all your plans, doing, let's say, a simple thing like item analysis. What's item analysis? You have your table of specifications for an assessment. You try and check it out. Why? You know, one teacher came to me and said, Mom, no, it was a student that came to me when I was a dean, and she said, Mom, I failed the exam. I said, oh, maybe you did not study. And that student responded, Mom, everyone in the class failed. And that jolted me from my seat. Why? 40 students, not even one passing an assessment of a teacher. And so I called the attention of the teacher and I said, what happened here? Mom, hindi po nag-aral ang mga estudyante. I said, no. If it is maybe 10% of the students who failed, I can understand that the student did not do their share of the studying. But if it's 100% of the students who failed, it's not the student's fault. It's the teacher's fault. Why? The teacher was not able to make a connection, was not able to make them understand how it impacts maybe a previous or a future lesson at that. And so the item analysis is very important. In fact, before I left the deanship of the college, this was something that we were doing already because many of our teachers in tourism and hospitality are not education majors. And so they may not know the importance of level of difficulty or even the table of specification. What is a table of specification? It tells you how many questions you should ask per area or per topic. And what is the basis? The basis should be how long you actually taught that particular topic. But what do we get? Sometimes a teacher will ask a question that is not even part of the discussion in the hope that he or she will feel, ang galing ko, walang pumasa sa exam ko. But that is in a wrong mindset that you have. Then you, based on the check mode, you modify, enhance, and maybe create some new initiatives. And this is a process that will go on and on. So if your teacher is still using notes that were created 10 years ago, nakita nyo malulutong na ang mga notes niya, ibig sabihin hindi siya nagbago, then maybe remind her about the PDCA because what was true before, in 10 years ago, might not be true anymore today. In fact, I should also say, if the notes are still based on books or references that are dated 2019 before COVID, be alarmed. A lot has changed in the industry as a result of COVID. And so you have to make sure that you look at newer notes or new references for this. What is the importance of collaboration? You have academe on one sector, you have industry, and you also have government. And all of these sectors work together. When I was preparing the slide, I was actually looking at partnership. Partnership which will involve only two segments. I thought of long and hard and I said, with collaborations, you start big and then finally focus on a partner or several partnerships. But the thing is, collaborations will do help. So I put heart at the center because these three components in a collaboration will actually have to work together. How big is the Philippines? The Philippines is made up of 81 provinces as of now, 18 regions, 7,641 islands. So mali na yung sagot ni Charlene Gonzalez because Charlene Gonzalez was asked, how many islands are there? And her response was, a witty answer, high tide or low tide. because it changes depending on the height of water. We have around 130 to around 190 languages spoken here. And we have 113 million Filipinos based on national statistics. We have around, what? 82% Christians, 5.4% Protestants, and 4.6% Muslims. Others are actually undeclared. So why am I even giving a demographic of the Philippines? Just as there are many provinces, many languages, the diversity is what makes us different from all the other ASEAN countries. So what possible partnerships do we have for academe and government? Take a look at CHED. Are you strong with your partnerships with CHED? Why am I even including TESDA, DepEd, DOT, LGU, DOLE in this particular collaboration? The input of higher education will be people or students from TESDA and DepEd. You've got to know who your market is, what they've taken in the previous studies, so that you can bring them together at a certain level. You've got to make sure that you comply to the minimum requirements. Mind you, that the CMO or Policy Standards and Guidelines, CMO 62, Series 2017, is minimum in nature. Don't tell me that you're just going to comply, because there has to be some unique selling feature that LSPU will be able to share with their students. There is networking opportunity for academe and government, becoming a subject matter expert for development, review, and enhancement of any program that the government unit will have. You know, sometimes we do research with a mind of just complying. Oh, para lang masabi na nag-research ako. But what is the purpose of research? Aside from producing research, the other functions of research is also to disseminate as well as utilize. And in utilization, this is where we get many failing marks. Why? I see a lot of researchers. After they've done their research, their copy is just placed in a cabinet, forgotten for the rest of their life. Where is it utilized? None. De nada. So, what do? You approach any of these government agencies or maybe private enterprises at that, ask them, what research do you want? What outputs do you want? So that somebody can actually use the research that you have. You also get updates from your networking with your government agencies and maybe some special projects which a government agency might assign you. I'd like to show you how big the enrollment and the number of schools are in tourism and hospitality. Let's take a look for HRM, HRA, or hospitality management. At the moment, there are 941 HEIs offering hospitality management with a combined enrollment of 200,000. What sets your school different from other HEIs offering hospitality management? In terms of tourism, there are 646 schools, higher education institutions only, offering tourism with a combined enrollment of 82,000. That is data as of 2020-2021. I was trying to get more updated statistics. Unfortunately, there was a lag in the information gathering by CHED. But if you can just imagine, divide 200,000 by 4, let's say this is, first year, second year, third year, fourth year, you have around 50,000 students graduating every year. And you see that there are a lot of businesses requiring hospitality management graduates as well as tourism management graduates. So what does this mean? It means that for academe, you can have partnerships also with academe and other academic institutions. You can find consortium. Why? Consortiums actually give you unlimited resources that are available with other schools. So maybe library resources. I remember, as a member of one consortium in Manila, I would ask the librarian, we don't have this book. Can you get this book? And because she has access to the OPAC of the other schools, Ma'am, it's available in this school. Ganon kami ka-pampered ng librarian namin. She will borrow the book, she will bring it to my office, and Viola, I have that book already. Because books are very expensive also. Membership in educational organizations. I'm very happy. You know, when I was being introduced, I could hear already the same organizations that Miss Manji had. She was president of COREP, I was president of COREP. She was also president of APACRI, I was president of APACRI. And you know, these organizations, the one is local, another is international, allows you networking opportunities so that if you hear that one person from Netherlands, from the UK, from Australia is coming over for another event, your networking skills will tell you, oh, I can invite this faculty because I don't have to spend for his transportation already, and he can do a special lecture in my school. Because internationalization is also one thing that's very important in tourism and hospitality. You can also do quality assurance benchmarking. Bakit kayo COE? Ano bang meron sa inyo? Karapat-dapat ba yung COE ninyo? O yung level 4 accreditation? What do? You know, we are all friends. You just email maybe a colleague from that school who will facilitate a benchmarking visit and find out, bakit yung inyong kutsara ganito maganda industry standard? You know, you have to take a look at what are these standards that are being used in some of these schools, because maybe you have managed to get a fork, but the standard is of a different kind. Yung mabilis maputol na tinidor ang meron sa inyo. You also do local or international networking. Many of these networkings are actually takes years para kayong liligawan. Many of my friends are already 10 years or 15 years in the making before we actually establish some kind of a networking. Then, we now go to industry. What is industry? If you remember the umbrella concept, you have travel, lodging, events management, restaurants, recreation. Nasaan si education? I would always say education is very much part of the tourism industry because we are the handle that holds all of the sectors together. Why? We are providing all of these sectors with potential employees, not just for employment, but also for practicum service. So what are some of the academic industry activities that we can do? Join professional organizations. You invest time. In fact, on Friday, there's going to be a matching session that is spearheaded by COREP. You may want to look at how you can be involved in this because they will allow you to partner. You know, why do you need industry? Faculty-student immersion. Iba na po ang hotel natin ngayon. Iba na rin ang restaurants natin. Iba na rin po. And COREP has managed to partner with the Association of Human Resource Managers in the hospitality industry. So the who's who in hospitality will be there. Unfortunately, that's day 3 of your conference. You also get acquainted with the uniqueness of the local area. What may be true in Quezon City may not be true here in Laguna. So you may want to partner with organizations that are within your scope to give you an appreciation of what your industry needs. Curriculum development, check with them. Gasgas na po sa tenga namin as members of the Technical Committee for CHED, skills mismatch. Skills mismatch is going to be there forever because what we're teaching in school will become obsolete by the time that you get there. But what education can do is make sure that provide you with the opportunity, with the passion to learn. Immersion program. Take a look at what immersion programs you can have with your partners through practicum, or maybe just observations, student and faculty, and job placements. Job placements are very important because you want to make sure that your graduates actually have work after they graduate from you. And you can do special projects with your partners in industry. One of these partners, an industry partner, is a good friend. She's also a member of a technical committee, Eileen Clemente. She's from Raja Travel Corporation. They've set up the Tourism Knowledge Center, where they now focus on research that's going to be relevant for industry. UST, LPU, and other schools are now members of the Knowledge Center. They also have the Travel Academy, where they do have practicum immersion programs available, and they also do local and international education trips. Do catch on the links that are provided here. So collaborations do have a role. What role? Education to employment and/or entrepreneurship. Here you are having an HEI in one particular campus who may not even understand what partnerships can do for industry and academe. Anong pwede natin gawin? Pwede natin magkaroon ng regionalization of plans. What is specific? It may be different. I saw the plan for Laguna, plans for Laguna. I was amazed at the breadth and width that you have here in Laguna. And compare it with the national plans for tourism. Mismatch. Because it is not attuned with what the region needs, you want to make sure that the programs you have are relevant. And so that's why you need to talk with industry and government. Obsolescence versus currency is also very important. If you want to be obsolete, don't talk with industry. But if you want your curricula to be current, talk with your industry partners as well. Then you go to Philippines. From the region, you go to the Philippines. There are initiatives with the national plans like the NTDP, the Jobs Fit Report, the Philippine Tourism Human Capital Development Plan, and so on. There is also the ASEAN, and this is something, that I'm very passionate about, how you make it relevant for the ASEAN mutual recognition arrangements on tourism professional. I know that a number of you have dreams that you don't want to just simply work in the country. You want to work outside. But you don't even have to go abroad for ASEAN MRA on TP to be relevant. We have a lot of tourists arriving here, and you've got to make sure that you provide them with quality service along with quality destinations that you have. And finally, the world is at your fingertips if you are able to do good collaborations with academe, industry, and government. So quality standards and certifications are important in any level. You have the PQF that defines what DepEd is supposed to teach, what TESDA has in its array of qualifications, what higher education has defined in its PSG, and if we all work together, what do we have? We have an industry that is going to be synergized, symbiotic relationship with all of these academic institutions, and hopefully with the PQF at the center, mindful of the descriptors and levels that we have, as well as the ASEAN qualification referencing framework, we now are able to create quality Philippine tourism enterprises and professionals, not only for the Philippines, but also for ASEAN as well as the rest of the world. Moving forward, we do not forget our uniqueness, why Filipinos become such a, the preferred tourism professional. Why? Be hospitable because be helpful. Let's help each other. Academe is not alone in this journey of Philippine quality assurance for tourism, but we have the help of academe, industry, and government. Be open-minded. Don't say, oh, I'm going to change again my course outlines because industry wants this. Accept the comments from your industry partners or from your government institutions, because they will make your program more relevant. Your graduates become relevant as well. Be systematic. It is not the job of just one person. It's not the job of the dean or just one faculty member. It's a collaboration. It's an effort that has to be actually that has to grow together. Be positive that with academe, industry, and government working together, things are going to move forward with our tourism. Be interested with what's happening in your industry. And I always say that you cannot be interested if you don't have any links with industry or academe. You've got to make sure that you find ways and means to link with your partners in industry as well as government. Be tenacious, maging makulit, maging masipag. What do I need to change with our curriculum? Be adaptable. There are new changes that are happening. Be better than what you are. Your best right now might not be the best option next month, because it will have to undergo changes again. Be a lifelong learner. Be a student. You know, we have an external brain. What is our external brain? The external brain is your smartphones, where you can search anything that you want to do for that matter. And be engaged as a learner, as a teacher, and as industry practitioner. Check Moin, did we discuss practice? Yes? No? Okay, did we discuss continuous improvement? Yes, happy to note. Did we discuss the importance of collaboration? Did we discuss moving forward steps? Be hospitable. They say it's more fun in the Philippines, but learning or practicing is more fun here in your First Regional Edutourism Congress. Marami pong salamat. A copy of my presentation, you can go to the bit.ly link, as well as take a picture of the QR code. You can get that for free, walang charge po. And at your service, I am not Chris Aquino, but Tina Aquino. I can be reached in my email addresses, as well as the various organizations that I am a member of. Marami pong salamat. Wish you all the best in your tourism.